what muscle or muscles do capital extension? Occipital muscles, and they have names, right?
Yep.
Okay, what else? Semispinalis capitis, splenius capitis. The one thing this book does a very good job also is illustrating what muscles we're talking about, showing their attachments. They also go through what nerve roots innervate those, or what nerves innervate those muscles. So it's a really good anatomy review. Very, very good. Okay. Now, remember, when we talk about manual muscle testing, the first thing I said is we try to isolate the muscle. But in the spine, that's a very difficult thing to do. Right? So when we look at capital extension, I'm really looking at the capital extensors. So there's a few of them. I'm testing a few muscles here at one time. Okay? As you get out to the limbs and all that, you're able to isolate deltoid, biceps, brachialis, triceps. You can isolate those. Okay. So, but holding to our principles, if we're thinking of capital extension, all I'm really interested in is his ability to lift against gravity just at his head. So what I'm going to ask the person to do is to lay down with your head off the edge of the table. Okay? Oh, sorry, Chris. Sit up a little bit higher. Okay. What I need you to do is only lift the head itself, this part, okay, but not your neck as best you can. Can you do that for me? If he can get through full range of motion, I can check that. Lift it up. Can I take him any further or not? If it's only a little bit further, because remember, passive is more than active, that's fine. But if he only lifted to there, and I can take him like that, that's a problem, right? So go ahead, lift all the way up, Chris. Now I have to, he's at least 3, now I have to do between 4 and 5. So I'm going to take my hand and I'm going to apply a force to try to flex him. Hold on, let me move you. And I'm going to take it to where I feel it's a break point, and then relax. And then you can put your head back on the table. Your neck muscles will start to cramp up pretty quick.
So is it possible to get a 5 for neck muscles then?
Oh yeah, he was 5.
I thought you moved him though. You said you took him to a break point.
Oh, I take it to a break point, and then he was holding it fine. So he was 5. Yeah, he was 5 out of 5. Again, how much force do you use? These are very small muscles, so I'm not going to be pushing as hard, right? But I put to what I felt like was a good amount, maximum amount of force for those muscles, and I used off, and he was able to hold against it.
So it's per the muscles, not per what you use.
And so it's definitely per muscles as well, okay? So that's capital extension. In order to do a 2, 1, or 0, so let's say we ask him to lift his head up. In that other example, he lifts up kind of partially, but then I go in and I realize, oh wait, there's a lot more capital extension there. What am I supposed to do next according to my general principles?
Gravity.
Okay, I got to put him in a position that minimizes gravity. For this test, it'll show you, if you turn to page 16, that's actually in a supine position. So let's have you lay on your back with your head on the table. Okay? Now, part of the reason for this is if I did gravity eliminate position, what position would I have him in?
On the side.
I would have him on his side, and what would I have to do for his head and neck?
Hold it.
I'd have to hold it up for him, right? And that's not very useful either. But this is a position that minimizes gravity for his head and neck, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm sitting at the end of the table. I'm supporting with 2 hands on the occiput, and I should be placed at just the occiput, so I can really actually palpate those muscles as well. And so now what I'm going to ask you is to tilt your chin up towards me like you're just trying to extend the top of your head, just like that, okay? And I can look to see how far he goes. And then the book tells you a grade 2 is the patient completes limited range of motion, and a grade 1 and 0 what they are. Okay? With my hands here, I can see he's going through the partial range of motion 1, but if he didn't move at all, I could palpate and sense for a trace contraction or not. Okay? And so that's capital extension. And so that's how you want to use this book, okay? It tells you what position they're in, how to do it, and you just go through it step by step. So that's capital extension. The next one is cervical extension. Cervical extension is the same position for the first test, so we'll have you lay on your stomach, head over the edge of the table. Okay, but now I'm not interested in seeing this part of his head. What I need you to do is let your head rest down, and what I want you to do is just kind of attempt to lift your whole neck like that, okay, as high up as it can go, okay, but without looking up at the same time. Okay, so can you do that? Go ahead, lift up. Good. He does that. Hold on, let me move you. I assess for the break point and then relax. And one thing you should do in this case, actually, probably even a better hand position was my hand here, because if his head does give, I want to be able to control him. So exactly, that's the bad thing. So hold on, let me move you, and I grade up to a 5. Okay. Okay, relax. You can put your hand back on the table.
Don't have to go to the gym today.
It is the same test for the cervical extension. The person's going to be supine, but now instead of asking the person to lift their chin up, you're going to ask them to push their head back. Okay? So remember with capital, when I was interested in capital, my instructions was to have his chin look up at me, because now I'm seeing just his capital extend. But now I'm interested in his neck, and now I'm going to say just kind of push your whole head back into the table, and I want to feel, can he do that? And then if I see some partial movement, it's a 2, and then I have to palpate for 1 or 0. Okay? And then the last thing for the cervical extension are to do the combined test. And you can look at both the same. So with capital, I was isolating just the suboccipital muscles, those capital extensors. With cervical extension, splenius cervicus, right muscles, semispinalis cervicis muscles, I was looking at isolation. But I can test them all together at the same time. And so it's the same test on the person's stomach, but now I'm going to ask them to lift their entire head. I need to see the full cervical extension and the capital. So what I'm going to do is ask you to lower your head down and then lift everything up and look at basically Sarah for me. So now he's done combined. And then so again, and then in testing, hold on, let me move you. And I'm testing both together at the same time. Okay? All right.